Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today we're going to talk about 5 underrated sequels. 5 sequels that I'm not saying they're as good as the first movie or the movie that preceded them, but 5 movies that just don't get the attention they deserve, or movies that I think are better than their reputations. Number 1 on the list is Highlander 2: The Quickening. I really like this movie. Is Highlander 2 as good as the first one? No. The first one is objectively the best one in the franchise. Highlander really is a movie that didn't need sequels. It didn't need to be a franchise. The first movie stands on its own really well. And is definitely the best one, the best Highlander thing ever made, the first movie. That being said, Highlander 2 is my favorite Highlander movie. I love this movie. It was the first one I saw. That's probably part of it. Is it a bit bonkers in places? Yes, but I love the cinematography. I love how Christopher Lambert plays the role. Michael Ironside does ham it up a little bit in places. He's definitely not as good as Clancy Brown as the Kurgan, but he's still great to watch. He has some amusing moments in it. I love when he's piloting the train. You always wanted to drive one of these things? The kid just nods. He's like, me too. Goes in there. I enjoyed the fight scenes. I love having Sean Connery back, even though there's not really much point to it. I still like it. Virginia Madsen is great as the female lead in it. And again, I like the feel of the movie, the aesthetics of the movie. I really like it. It just has a nice tone to it. I like Connor with that more longer hair. I love that one scene when he walks out of the flames and he's young again. It's just a fun movie to watch. Again, it's not as good as the first one objectively, but I always enjoy rewatching it. And the interesting thing is there's really 2 drastically different versions of it. You have the original version, the theatrical cut, and there's a couple extended versions of it. That is a good watch. But then you also have the Renegade edition, which is a very different edit. Completely takes the Planet Zeiss stuff out and makes it more about a time travel thing. And then some of the fight scenes are re-edited and done in different order, and it adds some stuff that's not in the original cut. They're very different watches. I recommend watching both, or if you've only seen the original, watch the Renegade edition. It's really good. My preferred between them is the Renegade edition, though I find them both a nice watch. It's a fun movie. When I get in the mood for it, it's the one I like to go back to the most. The first 2 are easily the ones I've watched the most. Although I will give an honorable mention to Highlander 3. I think it's a fine movie. It's basically a rehash of the first movie. It's kind of the Walmart generic brand of the first movie, but it's still a fun watch. But I just love Highlander 2. Number 2 on the list is The Lost World, the sequel to Jurassic Park. This is a good movie in its own right. Is it as good as Jurassic Park? No. Is it close? No. The Jurassic Park is just a masterpiece of a movie. It's a really good movie. And I feel like that's why The Lost World doesn't get talked about. But The Lost World is still a good film. Jeff Goldblum is great as the lead in it. I think the rest of the cast are doing a pretty good job. It does get a little off the rails at the end, but it's fun. My main question is what happens to the family that spots the T-Rex? And the kid's camera goes off, they're screaming, not moving, and then the kid's camera goes off and the T-Rex is like, "Rrr." And then it cuts away and it never cuts back to them. And you just get this impression it doesn't end well. I'm always curious about that. I'm like, did it get him? I always want to know. But it's a fun movie. I think, again, I like the cast. I enjoy the story. Even the ending. I love the fact that the kind of Weasley guy with the glasses gets it. And it's the baby T-Rex that pounces on him. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's a good movie that doesn't get enough credit. Number 3 on the list is Tron Legacy. Now, I know a lot of other people who like Tron Legacy. But I feel like it doesn't get the credit it deserves. I think it's a really good film. I don't know if it's as good as the first one story-wise, but I like it. I think the cast is doing a good job. It's great to see Jeff Bridges back. I love the soundtrack by Daft Punk. I actually own the soundtrack to the movie. I also own the movie. That soundtrack is phenomenally good and fits. Every piece of music fits every scene. The special effects look top-notch and very fitting of Tron. It really does feel like a slightly more advanced version of Tron's world, because this world was created in 1989, so it had 7 years to advance from the world in the 1982 version, which 7 years is a lot in computer terms. I enjoy it. The use of colors, the use of camera work, just to show how far the technology had come from the original. I do wish we would have gotten a third one as a sequel to Legacy. I really have no interest in the one they're working on, the Tron Ares. One, just because I can't stand Jared Leto. But two, it just doesn't sound interesting. I wanted a sequel to Tron Legacy, and knowing what happened with those characters. I wanted to see Flynn back, because it always kind of hinted that Flynn survived the end of it. I want to know what happened to Tron. It says we saw him get freed from control when his lights flickered back blue at the end of Tron Legacy. Such a good, fun movie. I love seeing it in theater. I love watching it on DVD. I need to get it on Blu-ray, actually. It's a fun trip and a worthy sequel to Tron. Number 4 on the list is American Ninja 2. This one I actually prefer over the original. I love American Ninja 2. I think it's the best American Ninja movie. It's easily my favorite. The first one's still good. I enjoy the first American Ninja a lot. But I saw 2 first. And I saw 2 considerably before I saw 1. I saw 2 for the first time probably in the late 80s, early 90s, where I don't think I saw 1 until probably about the mid-90s. So anywhere between 4, 6, 7 years sooner. And I just like it. I like me some Michael Dudikoff. I also like the guy who plays Jackson. I can't remember his name, but I like him. They have good chemistry together. They have a good, strong bond together. Is the movie kind of 80s cheese? Yes. Is the choreography not the best in the world? True. I feel like 2 is choreographed better than 1, honestly. But I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I enjoy some of the music to it too. I really enjoyed the music in both of the American Ninja movies. They're both really good. They're fun. They're just silly fun. And again, since I saw them both at a young age, especially the second one, I have that nostalgic attachment to them, even if they're not objectively the best movies ever made. And they're the reason why I have such a fondness for Michael Dudikoff a lot. He's also in Bachelor Party. But I love American Ninja 2. If you've never seen any of the American Ninja movies, watch the first 2. They get kind of crap after that, to be honest. The third one's crap. I've never seen the 5th one. The 4th one's all right because it brings Dudikoff back. It's okay. It's not really great, but it's okay. But the first 2 are really good. So I recommend giving those a watch if you kind of like 80s martial arts, kind of cheesy movies. And last on the list is Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I think Star Trek 3's biggest problem is that it's sandwiched between 2 and 4. And 2, 3, and 4 kind of act as a trilogy, and I think a lot of people would call 3 the weakest. Now, the odd-numbered Trek movies historically don't have the best reputation, especially in the original Prime universe, the first 10 movies. But to be fair, 3 seems to be the one that bucks the trend. I think most people would agree 3 is the one that kind of bucks the trend. It's kind of the best of the odd-numbered Trek movies. It's stuck in a trilogy between 2 and 4. Now, personally, I prefer 3 over 2. I do. I like 3 more than 2. Wrath of Khan is a great movie, and it's definitely paced better. Wrath of Khan could be the best paced Trek movie. Well, it and Voyage Home, they're both really well paced. Now, Star Trek 3 does have some pacing issues. There is a spot there kind of in the middle where it kind of, you just want to fast forward a little. But other than the pacing issues, it's really, really good. It has my favorite movie scene of all time in it when they steal the Enterprise out of space dock. That is my favorite movie scene ever. A lot of that is just down to how everything comes together so perfectly in it, especially the music by James Horner, Stealing the Enterprise, I believe it's actually called. I have it on my iTunes. That music is just fantastic, and I absolutely love it. Plus, the model effects shots there are phenomenally good, and then the actors are all putting in good performances. The scene when the Enterprise and the Klingon bird of prey face off is also so good for all of these reasons. That's another one of my favorite movie scenes because it's this kind of slow burn when you see them closing on each other and it's cutting back and forth between the interior of the Klingon ship and the interior of the Enterprise as Kirk and Sulu are figuring out that something's hiding out there. Enough energy to hide a ship, a cloaking device. Red alert, you see the lights turn red. And James Horner's music, again, just fits what's happening on screen perfectly. It's another example of everything coming together in this scene really well. We see consequences for Kirk with the death of his son, the loss of the Enterprise, which is probably the only time the Enterprise has been destroyed when it actually has an emotional impact. Like, there's never been any other time when an Enterprise has been destroyed where I've really cared. But the death of the original Enterprise to this day still shakes me. It still hits me. It's such an emotional scene the way it's filmed. And that look on Kirk's face as he gives that final code to blow it up, just that look speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. Christopher Lloyd as Commander Krug is really good. I really like Christopher Lloyd in this movie. I prefer Krug over Khan. They're close, but I prefer him. I love the performance he puts up. It's not perfect. The fight between him and Kirk at the end gets a little silly, a little hammy. And the Genesis planet is very obviously a set. It's very obvious they're on a set, that they're not doing location work. That planet is very painfully obviously a set. But everything else works about it well. I mean, some of the plot doesn't make sense, like, why can't they send somebody to go check Spock's out? Why does he have to steal the Enterprise? You think Sarek, being an ambassador, would have some pull. Like, when Kirk asks and they tell him no, Sarek steps in. Actually, Ambassador Sarek here, Captain Spock's son, I'm going to need you to clear that and let them go to Genesis. Or, you know what? I've got a Vulcan ship, Kirk. Let's go to... There should have been a way for Sarek to get involved and get them to Genesis. They shouldn't have had to steal the ship. Gaping plot hole you could drive the Enterprise through, to be fair. But willing suspension of disbelief aside, it's a well-made movie, and I really absolutely love it. Also, it's probably some of my favorite performances from William Shatner. He was really on fire in Star Trek 2, 3, and 4 with acting. Sometimes you get that hammy Shatner acting. Sometimes you get truly amazing acting. You get a lot of that in that trilogy. So Star Trek 3, definitely underrated. So I want to know what you think of these sequels and 5 sequels you can think of that don't get the attention they deserve. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. I have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that down there as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference. I do have a link to my Amazon wishlist down there as well. Don't forget to check out my main channel, Another Sci-Fi Guy, where I talk about all things Doctor Who. I have over 1,000 subscribers there now. Most importantly, thank you for watching.